There is no escape. Don't make me destroy you. Luke, you do not yet realize your importance. You have only begun to discover your power. Join me, and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy.
I'll never join you!
If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss the return of that madcap demon Beetlejuice in Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, and Tim Burton all return, Matt, this time with Jenna Ortega in tow. That's right, the queen of the requel is here as well to bring us up to date on the Deetz family. One particular thing I think was going to be really challenging about the Deetz family, and I want to talk to Matt about how they handled that and his thoughts on it. But they're going to be tormented one more time by Beetlejuice. Then there's the undead rundown of the big releases on physical media featuring your streaming and Viper video picks of the week. And then Matt and I are going to close out the show by sharing our 5 favorite Michael Keaton performances. Also, I got some bad news on Matt. Well, maybe for Matt regarding the Rotten Tomatoes score game. We'll talk about that as well. So we'll see if we can get Matt to say, "I'm Batman," one time by the end of the show.
I'm Batman.
All right, go ahead. Let's start everything off with a clip from Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
So you're saying that someone called Beetlejuice?
Don't say his name. If you say his name 3 times, he will appear.
I know this is a big step for you, but in the words of Dr. Glickman, I'm going to give you the push you need. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Is that
Beetlejuice.
First of all, I want you two kids to know this is a safe space, okay? Feel free to express yourself. Don't be afraid. I sense there's an enabler here, but we'll get to that.
You're a figment of my imagination.
Really? Is this a figment of your imagination?
Matt, it's been, what was the first film came out? 89 was Beetlejuice? Was it 89, 87? Why am I blanking on that?
I don't know. I thought it was 87, but
I think it is
I'm not
87.
Sure.
Yeah, 89 was Batman. What the hell am I talking about? Yeah, of course
okay.
It was 87. Jesus, Chris, way to drop the ball on that one. So it's been 30 plus years. I'm not really good at math. We'll just say 30. Sound good? Sounds good.
Great.
What is Beetlejuice all about? I was about to ask you a question, realizing I hadn't asked you what this film's about yet.
Yeah. So it's 30 some odd years later.
Is it? 87 or 89?
Mm-hmm. It's 30 some odd years later. Lydia Deetz is a TV medium who has become quite wealthy. Delia Deetz is a famous artist who has made quite a bit of money on her art. And Lydia Deetz has a daughter who is estranged from her and staying at an all-girls boarding school. Well, the father, Charles Deetz, played by a noticeably missing Jeffrey Jones in the first film for obvious reasons, dies, and that brings them all back together and back to the Maitland mansion. Stands to reason that, though, point out that Lydia's daughter does not believe in ghosts, but Lydia's seeing visions of Beetlejuice once again.
88, Matt.
Okay.
Came out in 88, not even
All
87.
Right.
So even you led me astray. I watched my 4K here of Beetlejuice in anticipation of the new film.
Mm-hmm.
Did you revisit the original prior to going
in? It was only available on Max, and I didn't feel like trying to go take a lot of effort to try and find it. But I had seen it so many times when I was a kid that I felt like I had it pretty good in my memory.
Yeah, I have not watched it in a very, very long time. And it was still enjoyable, particularly, I would say, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis, who are absent from this film. Though I don't know if you noticed, Matt, in the opening credits, when we're doing our tour of the town again, like we do in the original, and it switches from the town to the model town, they are there by the river, kind of waving.
Okay.
Gotcha. They have little toy versions of themselves, the little things for the model are there, which I thought was a nice touch. But here we are, Matt, in Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, a sequel that, I don't know, Matt, how does this work for you? Does it feel like a nice, enjoyable endeavor, or was it kind of another requel, kind of cash grab sequel thing for you, trying to revitalize an 80s franchise?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if it was, well, it was never really a franchise because it didn't, well, I guess it was, because there was that
TV show,
that
cartoon show ran for years, toys, lots of stuff. Everybody knows who Beetlejuice is from a movie from 1988.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I didn't really feel like it was necessary to have a sequel. I wasn't, like, super excited to see this. Like, I didn't feel like, oh, man, we're finally going to get the Beetlejuice sequel. I'm so happy that this is finally happening. You know, if it never got a sequel, I would have been fine. I think it was fine, self-contained story. But I will say, I had a good enough time watching this. It wasn't bad. I mean, I wouldn't say it's anything groundbreaking, but it was overall a pretty enjoyable time.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I am surprised, actually, how much I did enjoy this. I think it's a nice bounce back as well for Tim Burton, who I'm going to tell you, whose last run of films have not been great. And in fact, I think, Matt, we've basically, dare I say, almost avoided his last few films. I don't think we've even covered him for the show, right? We didn't do Dumbo. We didn't do Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. We didn't do Big Eyes. We didn't do Dark Shadows. That was the last film, I think. And you may not even have been on the show.
I wasn't on the show at that time. No, I don't think so.
So I haven't seen Sweeney Todd. Hadn't seen his Alice in Wonderland reboot. Didn't see Charlie and the Chocolate Factory either. For me, Big Fish, I think, was the last good film he did. Yeah, I was a little concerned, but I definitely feel like he's got a bit of his mojo, as the kids say, back with this film. I think it's a nice homage to the original. I think it's a little weightier than the original film. I actually think that Burton does a pretty good job kind of talking about death and the impact people's loved ones that has to people in the living world, and also how to kind of find acceptance in the passing on of your loved ones. I think he does a pretty good job with that. I think also, if you're going to give me a goth Winona and a goth Belushi, deep breaths. I just got to stay calm on that one. But still, I always enjoy that. And I want to talk to you about Monica Bellucci.
Yeah.
So she plays. Do we want to spoil it? Should we spoil it at all for people what her character is? Does it matter?
I don't think it really matters. I think you could probably figure it out pretty quick.
So she is Beetlejuice's ex-wife, and I won't get into the story of their union and how it came to be torn asunder, which is a whole clip I found, particularly part of the film I found particularly enjoyable and laughed out loud a couple of times. But she is back from the dead-ish, or still dead. I don't know. Back from confinement, wherever she is, and out to seek revenge. But the weird thing is, Matt, is that she's a Dodge. She is not the main story here.
Right.
And how do you feel about that? Because initially, I think Burton does a good job deftly hiding who our true villain is in this film.
Right.
And I think the reveal of that and the relation, which helps kind of bring our family back together, helps mend the relationships, all that kind of stuff. I think that all works really well. But Bellucci's character acting as kind of a red herring to then kind of be almost useless in the final thing, in the final wrap of things. I'm not sure how. I didn't have as much of an issue with it because I thought the other part of it, her acting as a well, I can't remember what the word I'm looking for is. That means I feel like Ricky Jay would be very upset with me right now. But she is the red herring to kind of keep us all occupied while something else is actually happening. So I forgave that a little bit.
Sure.
How did it work for you?
Yeah, I think overall, I think to get the action going, I guess it's a good excuse to kind of put everybody into motion, like Willem Dafoe's character, which plays an important part in it. And I think without that kind of driving action force, I don't know what kind of forces all these other things to kind of come together. So
true.
I think it's a necessary facet of the story that you have to have. You have to have something that kicks off all this series of events, and you need something that's like a threat that's kind of constantly on the horizon. But at the end of the day, you know, she's tertiary at best. It seems kind of a waste of Monica Bellucci. I would have liked to have seen a lot more of her, because she just kind of goes around and looks menacing and sultry, and that's about it, right? She doesn't barely even says anything. But overall, I know why they did it, and it makes sense. It just seems a shame to waste a talent like Monica Bellucci to do that. Yeah,
you're right. She lights the match for all this stuff basically to happen, I guess. Well, no, not really, because we have to talk about Jeffrey Jones's character, right? The dad in the first film. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Jeffrey Jones. You can just Google him and find out why he's not in this film.
Sure.
But how do you think the handling of his characters, I don't know, can we even say he's not really missing from the film, but in a way he is? But how did you feel about them handling his...
It's got a bit of a morbid sense of humor about it, because it's like you handle the whole kill the problematic character off screen, right? And except you're in a film about the afterlife and ghosts and stuff like that, so why wouldn't he not show up, I guess? And the way they kind of got around that was funny, and I think it's kind of clever, but at the whole time, it just screamed like, they're just doing their best that they can, and it's just funny to hear them, all the characters, talk about this, the character that he played as being like this good person that they're all going to miss, but obviously they couldn't bring him back to the movie for various very obvious reasons. So it's a bit of a disconnect. It's a bit of something that they have to dance around, that I don't know if they're always 100% successful, but I think that's about as best as they can do, unless they want to just be like, Charles Deetz' grandpa is lost in the Amazon somewhere, and we'll just never, and have it like be one throwaway line and then never talk about him again, kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird, because the problem is, it's all I could think about whenever he popped on screen. Right. Whenever the death version of him, or whatever showed up in a photo, or the animated sequence, all that stuff. It's all I could think about, and it kind of pulled me out of the film a bit. I know they do their best to kind of address it, but still, it's not great. What do you think about the artistic part of it? I think one of the great things about the original film and Tim Burton's work is when he really gets into his dark kind of imagination. How'd you feel about that? The production design, the introduction of all of his kind of artsy little twists and stuff. Did that work for you?
Yeah, it did. I think he's back. I think it was, par for the course for Burton. I think his version of the afterlife is very interesting. Although I feel like he changed the rules a little bit, because in the first film, like, if you committed suicide, you were, cursed to, or you had to like work off your debt and be like essentially a civil servant in the afterlife, right? But at the same time, there are characters where it seems like if you're killed by your own stupidity, that also seems to make you be a part of the workforce of the afterlife, because, like Willem Dafoe's character, he didn't kill himself. He just was being dumb with a hand grenade and it blew up in his face, right? Yeah. So, but he's still, obviously is forced to be a cop or whatever. So, I don't know. It was a little strange with that kind of change, but overall, I think, the visuals are really cool. I think a lot of the stuff is really clever. I like the kind of, train station where it shows all of the different afterlives you can go to. I don't know if I was completely on board with the Soul Train. I thought it was a joke that went on a little too long. I thought it was clever at first, but then it lasts several beats too long. But overall, I think it's a pretty good, return to form for him.
Agreed. And speaking of things that run too long, the wedding scene at the end too, with the dance sequence, which I guess we're trying to recapture the magic of the Calypso, the Banana Boat song and all that stuff.
Sure.
That runs a little long here as well, unfortunately for me.
But Michael Keaton lip syncing Richard Marx was perfect. It was just
that was good.
That was like 10 seconds, and it was funny.
Exactly. So from what I understand too, they did approach to Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis about coming back.
Oh, really?
In the film, but they felt that the technology with the de-aging stuff, it just was no way to make it convincing, really, that it was them.
Sure.
And they're both like, I think our story's been told, right? So, I don't know. So, how about Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice one last time? Was the magic still there for you there?
I think so. I mean, he sounded, and acted just like he did the first time around. Like, he didn't really miss a step or miss a beat. Other than having a few more pounds around the middle, that was about it,
Yeah, I think that was the way he was in the first film. They just added that on. I think Keaton's a little he's a skinny, small little guy.
Yeah.
For a Batman. He's pretty lean there. So I agree. It was like one of those things. The film itself felt like slipping into an old comfortable shoe or putting on that sweater.
Yeah.
In fact, watching this thing made me want to move back to Connecticut again because the film does take place in a imaginary town in Connecticut. And then just the fall with the leaves. And I could almost feel the crispness in the air, and it's Halloween and all that stuff. And it's just not the same down here. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
We had that kind of weather today. It's starting to shift, and it was lovely.
We almost had flooded last week. We got like 9 inches of rain in 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. It's 9, 6. It was a lot. It was the most water we've had since we've been here.
Wow.
For sure. And I hated it. Not a fan.
I don't blame you.
As the phrasing goes, Matt, not a fan. I have too many monitors now. I can't get to the clip fast enough.
Not a fan.
Not a fan. All right, Matt. Give me a grade for Beetlejuice.
I think I'm going to give it a solid B. I enjoyed it well enough. I think it's a good little capper to something I didn't think it really needed a sequel.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I was vacillating between a B and a B minus, and I think Keaton's enough to push it over to B. Plus, I just like to say the word vacillate a lot. It's one of my favorite words.
Fair enough.
So let's rip off the Band-Aid, Matt. Rotten Tomatoes score game. Beetlejuice 2. Matt, you gave it a 60?
Yeah.
I gave it a 63.
Uh-huh.
And Beetlejuice came in at, are we ready? 76. 76.
Okay.
76.
All right.
That's another win for me. It is 2-0. Mm-hmm. Next up is Transformers 1. I got a feeling you're going to take me on that one. I'm at 60. You're at 75.
Okay.
And I think you're going to beat me on Joker as well.
Well, I hope so, because we got to at least keep it interesting. I don't want to go out, before thing's over, right?
Yeah. So we'll see, because I had a 47 on Joker. You got a 40, and I'm hearing bad things.
It looks terrible. It looks so bad. I'm not looking forward to seeing that.
Me neither. Oh, God. I had another trailer today. I mean, outside of my Beetlejuice screening, and it was just, this looks atrocious. It's like a film created just to make me angry.
Yeah.
But we'll see. If you've seen Beetlejuice, shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, let's spend a few minutes talking about what's coming up on physical media this upcoming Tuesday. This is getting released in 4K, and it's pretty exciting.
For more than 10 years, there's been peace. Everyone to his own patch. We've all had it sweet. I've done every single one of you favours in the past. I've put money in all your pockets. I've treated you lot well, even when you was out of order, right? Well, now there's been an eruption. It's like fucking Belfast on a bad night. One of my closest friends, he's lying out there in the freezer. And believe me, all of you, nobody goes home until I find out who done it. There can be only one.
That's my number one, Matt, actually. It's The Long Good Friday. Criterion's collection putting out the classic British gangster film with a brand new 4K restoration. I actually had this on DVD from Criterion, and I am so excited to upgrade to 4K. Bob Hoskins just in a powerhouse performance. Includes a documentary on the early years of handmade films called An Accidental Studio, audio commentary with director John McKenzie. It's got a brand new 4K restoration approved by the director of photography, Phil Mayu, and more. But if you have not seen The Long Good Friday and you like British gangster films, folks, pick it up. You will not be disappointed. All right, Matt, let's go. Actually, now let's start with the actual number 5. Does that work for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Number 5?
Man of the Year, the Robin Williams film where he plays a political talk show host who runs for president and actually wins by a computer glitch mistake, is being released by Shout Factory. I couldn't find any bonus feature information on that. Number 4. Anne Hathaway and Jessica Chastain star in Mother's Instinct. It's supposed to be this kind of Hitchcockian kind of drama thriller film. Alice and Celine live a traditional lifestyle with successful husbands and sons of the same age. Life's perfect harmony is suddenly shattered after a tragic accident. Guilt, suspicion, and paranoia combine to unravel their sisterly bond. I've heard mixed things, but I do love me some Anne Hathaway and Jessica Chastain. So,
Can you hit it from there?
I got 3 shots. That's enough.
Can't argue with a confident man.
Paramount Presents is bringing out The Dead, the Martin Scorsese film featuring Nicolas Cage, being released in 4K. You also have a bunch of new featurettes on the making of the film involving Marty and then the writer Paul Schrader, like how I called him Marty. New on the set interviews with Patricia Arquette, John Goodman, Ving Rhames, Tom Sizemore, and more. So that's a fun one, Matt. You ever seen Bringing Out the Dead?
I have not. Actually, no. I have seen it. It was so long ago. I remember not liking it very much, but it's been something I've been meaning to re-catch up with to see if I've changed my mind.
Yeah, it was actually playing the year I ran that movie theater. I thought it was interesting. I don't know if I loved it, but I bought it like digitally like 6 months ago for like $5 on iTunes to revisit it. I haven't yet, unfortunately. Where are we to?
That's a number 2.
That's going to be then Friday the 13th from Arrow, Matt. This is a 2009 Friday the 13th, the reboot there in 4K from Arrow. I actually have my copy of it already. Haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but brand new 4K transfers on the theatrical as well as the killer cut are both included. And it has also a double-sided fold-out poster and limited edition greetings from Crystal Lake postcard and a little collector's booklet featuring some new writings on the film and more. I'm a Jason guy, so even though I don't think there's really any such thing as a bad Friday the 13th movie. They're all enjoyable in some way or another. I'm just hoping at some point we can get this Right Stuff squared away so we can finally get a new film. But we'll have to see about that. Also coming out in 4K, because remember, Long Good Friday was our number 1. Chronicles of Riddick is being released from Arrow in 4K. I just picked up at Viper Video, used for like, I think, $8, the first 3 films, all unrated cuts on Blu-ray. Because I thought, I'd like to rewatch these at some point. I don't know if I need the 4K of the Chronicles of Riddick. So, but you do get the 4K restorations of both the theatrical and the director's cuts of the film. So, and a whole bunch of other featurettes, a new booklet with some new writings and more. Reacher Season 2, Matt, is getting a 4K and Blu-ray release from Amazon Prime. And then your Viper Video pick of the week. I'm thinking about upgrading this one. Torso is being released by Arrow, again in 4K. It's basically just another kind of slasher, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't want to use the term ripoff. I don't think that's fair. But it's an Italian horror film, slasher type thing. So if you're into that kind of stuff, excess gore, scantily clad women, Italian horror films from the 70s and 80s, Torso will keep you entertained for sure. Matt, that's your Viper Video pick of the week. You can go ahead and order that from Shelby at vipervideotampa.com or just give him a call. Matt, what should we be streaming this week?
Well, a film from Yorgo Lanthimos. Did I say that right, Chris?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. That I quite enjoyed, although Chris, I don't think liked it as much as I did. Kinds of Kindness is available on Hulu. Weird series of films was not what I was expecting at all. It is a series of vignettes that are loosely connected and told out of order, and I quite enjoyed it.
I think it's fair. I liked it. I thought it was good. I didn't probably like it as much as Matt did. That's fair. But it wasn't like I was like, oh, that's poopy. So I didn't pull one of these,
It stinks.
That wasn't me. All right, Matt. That sounds good. Was there something else I wanted to say? I feel like there was something else I wanted to say. I guess that's it. If it comes to me, I'll let you know. Let's wrap up the show, Matt, and share our 5 favorite Michael Keaton performances. This one, Matt, did not make the cut for me, though it was difficult. It was in the running for quite a while. Because I think it's the only role he's performed in 2 different kind of films, but not kind of loosely connected. I think Matt knows what I'm talking about already.
Sure. Yep.
And I went back to the place in the mall where you were before, but you weren't there. What was I supposed to do if something happens? You didn't tell me how to do that, did you?
There's a guy with Melanie?
There was nobody in the fitting room.
no idea what $50,000. You're clueless about the money, right? You have no idea what the 50 grand.
I have no idea.
None. You have no idea. You don't know. It could have gone here. Could have gone here. You don't know.
I know nothing. Not a clue. I don't have an idea where the motherfucking money is.
Not even a little idea, maybe.
Not even a little tiny motherfucking idea.
Just a polygraph on.
Yeah, if a motherfucker make you happy. Yeah, put it right there. I'll do it.
I sure hope you didn't do anything stupid, Jackie.
That is Michael Keaton as Ray Nicolette in Jackie Brown. He reprised the same character in Out of Sight as well, where he plays the FBI agent. And yeah, I do love me some Ray Nicolette. I remember when he first popped up there, I'm like, oh, Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little excited. I was Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was like, oh.
The meme before the meme was even a thing.
That's it. That's exactly it, Leonardo da Vinci. Matt, go ahead. Start us off. What's your fifth favorite performance by Michael Keaton?
All right, so my number 5 then is it's a bit role. It's a role that he's not the focus of this film at all by any means, but it is a first run favorite. And I'm talking, of course, his turn as Captain Gene Mauch, as the captain, the put upon captain of the other guys, who also is at least an assistant manager at the R.I.P. Bed Bath & Beyond. Quotes TLC, claims that he doesn't know what he's doing for some reason, and it's just such an innocuous role, kind of a bit of a return to comedy for him, and I think he's just a lot of fun in all the scenes that he's in.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick, Matt. Yeah. So my number 5 then is him as Jack Butler in Mr. Mom. When he switched his roles because his wife goes to work, he loses his job. And I remember loving Mr. Mom when I was a kid. Had a big impact on me. And it's, I think, my first time I ever saw Michael Keaton and thought about how funny he was. I have not seen that film in a very long time. So I'm not 100% it holds up as well as it does in my memory. But still, it's really just great, funny stuff. Michael Keaton kind of at the height of his slapstick kind of humor, comedic actor powers as well. So that's my 5.
Yeah, I thought about putting Mr. Mom in there because I remember liking it when I was a kid, but I haven't seen it in like 30 years. So like I can't remember anything about it. And it makes you wonder, as we've, you wouldn't know it sometimes, but we have progressed as a society, whether the whole entire premise of like a man having to take care of his kids is really that groundbreaking and funny and fish out of water, odd couple stuff. So We'll see. All right. So then my number 4 then is his turn as a Marvel villain, Adrian Toomes in Morbius. No, just kidding. Adrian Toomes in Spider-Man Homecoming. I think, I have a real soft spot for the Spider-Man films. I think they're the most consistent of some of the Marvel films, but I think he really elevates that one. I think he his turn as when he figures out that Peter, who's taking his daughter to Homecoming, is Spider-Man, and he has that little conversation with him in the car is fantastic.
That's one of my favorite scenes, like in the MCU period. I love Michael Keaton as that. Yeah, that's an honorable mention for me. No, that is a good one. So my number 4 then is Captain Gene in The Other Guys as well. Absolutely hilarious performance. He had left for a while, from I understand, ostensibly just to kind of raise his son, and then started to come back. I think like he did like White Noise. And I started to think like, oh man, is his career kind of over? But then he started popping up in good stuff again. And now he's at the forefront. He's a go-to kind of guy again, which I'm very excited about. But his Captain Gene was such a lovely kind of just breath of fresh air. I don't know why, but whenever he shows up, he breathes even more life into an absolutely hilarious film. It's just like, you're having the great ice cream sundae and he's like the peanut butter sauce on your chocolate and, right on top. Just makes everything just a little bit better. Makes it just perfect. So, yeah, there you go. Man, here's my problem. I have 3 different things I got to use for a stinger tonight, and I can't decide which one I want to do. So okay. I'll decide. Just go ahead, because one of them is a Captain Gene.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So I think we're going to have the same top three. And I have a feeling that our 1 and 2s are going to be swapped, I think.
Okay.
I think. No, actually, you know what? I don't think this next one's going to make it on Chris's list at all. My number 3 then is, I changed my mind because I thought of something else that I think you're going to like better. Is his turn as Beetlejuice. I can't overstate how much I watched this film and how, as a kid growing up in the late 80s, how, widespread and how everybody had seen it. It was kind of like I wouldn't say it was as big as Ghostbusters, but it was a pretty big deal on that particular year. And it's one that I watched quite a bit, and it led to certain other performances. His turn as being somewhat sinister, still very funny in it, but also he could turn on to something a little more threatening, which became important for a later role that we're going to talk about, I'm sure.
There you go. My number 3 then is Beetlejuice as well.
Oh, okay.
It's the molding or the melding of the comedy with a little bit of horror as well. I think that Burton is very deft at that, and I think with Michael Keaton he has the perfect kind of vessel to balance. I think some stuff that could be in different contexts or even some of the film kind of scary and freaky, especially if you're what is 88? I'm 13 years old watching this thing, right? So it can be a little intense at times, but he walks that balance of it so well. And it's just such an engaging and fun character as well, because you can see he captures kind of that manic energy exceptionally well. So Beetlejuice is my number 3 as well.
All right, so I think either way, I'm stealing Chris's thunder.
All right, well, just remember what the title of I think I know where you think I'm going, but remember, it's not like the top 5 performances. It's our
you're saying
favorite.
Right, that's why. But either way, I think I'm stealing your thunder. So,
okay, go ahead.
So my number 2 then is his turn that basically made his career and gave an example of what a superhero film could be, as his turn as Bruce Wayne and Batman in Tim Burton's Batman.
You're not going to say it?
I'm Batman.
No, yes.
Okay.
Honestly, him saying I'm Batman is such it cannot be overstated how iconic, and I hate how much the younger generations use the word iconic like they say it for anything that's fun or good, but like it truly is an iconic line in the true sense of the word, and how big of a deal that was. And a scary Batman. It had such, aesthetic with a kind of its weird Art Deco steampunk vibe. It really was of its time. And weirdly, if you watch it now, it's almost like anachronistic. It's like an artifact almost. Like if watching the Adam West Batman is at the same time. Like it's such a piece of 80s filmmaking that... it's just like a time capsule.
I have to watch it. I have not watched it in probably 20 years. So, and that's a film I've watched. Well, I'll get into it if it ends up on my list. My number 2 then, this is interesting then. I really went backwards on this. Is Regan Thompson in Birdman. I think Michael Keaton deconstructing his legacy as Batman, as an actor playing Batman. It is a fantastic performance. He was robbed of that Best Actor that year. It still bothers me to this day that Eddie Redmayne won that year instead of him. It should clearly have been him for me in Birdman, and it's brilliant. The satire on that is just cutting edge, and it also has this relentless pace to it. It's one of those kind of just unrelenting, kind of on your edge of your seat, almost like an action movie film when it's not. But also a fantastic score, which is basically almost entirely drums based. And Regan Thompson for me was a perfect encapsulation, I think, Michael Keaton and his career in Birdman. So that's my 2.
Yeah, this is my number 1. So Regan in Birdman is my number 1. Now it's a bit of a meta performance, right? He's obviously commenting on this aging actor who is known for playing a superhero and dressing up in tights and all that kind of stuff, and how he's coming to grips with all that, and what it's done to his friends and his career and his family and everything else. But he's so good in it. Like I think, as influential and foundational as the Batman movies were to me growing up in the 80s, I think watching Birdman now as an adult, I think it elevates the material for me.
Oh, exactly. It entirely does.
I'm Batman.
Yeah, but that's my number one, is Batman. Mm-hmm. I cannot tell you, it had an impression on Matt. Brother, to me, that film, it was the greatest film ever made to me when I watched that. As a comic book kid as well, it's one of the few times I went to the theater and watched a movie more than once. I think I watched it 4 times, maybe 5, when I was a kid. Because there was a movie theater that was more or less within biking distance of where I lived. So I would actually just go down there like on a Saturday afternoon and just go watch it again. And I had like a painter's hat. I had a button. I had posters. I had all the toys. I was obsessed with that film. I had it on VHS and must have watched it dozens of times at home. That was also, I think, one of the first big kind of mass VHS tapes too. I mean, the film was everywhere. I can't express to you people what a massive hit that film was. And it just captured me as a kid. And I do need to revisit it because I like Matt said too. I love the art design of it. It is really just visually a fascinating film as well. And I remember being confused also too. Like I think I asked my dad, why is Jack Nicholson's name in front of Michael Keaton's? It's Batman. Shouldn't it be Michael Keaton? Not understanding how any of that stuff works.
Sure.
Regardless, yeah, Batman's my number one. And the fact that it's one of the, if not maybe the only good thing about that Flash film.
Yeah.
Is him coming back after all those years, and I think still doing that character justice and really giving it the send-off that I think it deserved. And I always said, too, though, afterward, that I think Batman Returns is actually a better film. Man, maybe I need to revisit those. It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm. Has been
all
a really long time.
Honorable mentions. I do have those 4Ks, so they're sitting on a shelf, collecting dust like the others.
Yeah. So this is what I was going with this. I thought possibly Chris would leave Beetlejuice off of the list. But I would say his turn is Robbie Robinson in Spotlight, and Ray Kroc as in The Founder.
Yep. I would throw in Ken in Toy Story 3. Billy Caulfield in The Dream Team, a movie I loved when I was younger as well. Henry Hackett in The Paper. Carter Hayes in Pacific Heights. I remember watching that thinking, like, what is going on with Michael Keaton? He's a bad guy. Mm-hmm. And then finally, again, one of the better things about that RoboCop reboot is him as Raymond Sellers as the evil CEO.
Yeah.
Is a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun in that film. So there you go, folks. What's your favorite Michael Keaton performance? We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, what's coming up next week on The Big Show?
Well, we were going to try and see the 4:30 movie, but we don't think it'll be available for us to see. It doesn't look like it's widely released for next week, so we're going to catch up with Speak No Evil and the latest from Jeremy Saulnier in Rebel Ridge, which I love Green Room, and Blue Ruin is interesting, so I'm looking forward to that one.
There you go. And in the meantime, you can find us on thefirstrun.com. Matt, I got some big news for you.
What's that?
The report card is updated.
Oh, wow.
So you can actually go there and see the grades of everything we've given. Just go to the TFR report card. There's a bunch of other stuff there, too. Archives of all the old shows, everything you need, thefirstrun.com. Head on over to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Do a search for The First Run. Scroll. Eventually you'll find us. Head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review to help other people find the show. And I guess that will be that. So go ahead, everybody. Take care of yourselves. We love you very much, and we'll see you all soon. Take care.
You're mad at us, huh, Gene?
First off, don't call me Gene. I'm your captain. Guys, do you remember the Be Smart speech?
Sure. All right. Then what'd you do? What'd you do about it? The opposite. We were not smart, Captain Gene.
It's just Captain. It's just Captain. It's not Captain Gene. I don't have a kiddie show. It sounds creepy, Captain Gene.
You know what happened to this guy, Jack? Wow. Made a mistake. Yeah, that's...
Right shot! Now you want to get nuts! Come on! Let's get nuts. I'm Batman.